Yes. Yeah. Sam. Here we go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brighton Area Schools Board of Education meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Sacramento roll call, please.
Mr. Conley?
Here.
Mrs. Marks?
Here.
Dr. Krebs?
Here.
Ms. Reed?
Here.
Mr. Myers?
Here. I move this to the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Krebs, support by Ms. Reed. Any discussion?
I would like to propose an amendment to the for action section of the agenda to add item C, board member resignation and appointment.
All right, we have a second.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Reed, second by Dr. Krebs. Any discussion on the motion to amend the agenda? All right, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any nays? That passes 5-0. All right, that moves us to the superintendent report. Item A, LESA Special Education Millage. Dr. Outlaw.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Before we talk about the millage that's coming up on November 5th, wanted to have two shout outs here. The first, just wanted to talk about the start of the school year. We're 5 days into the school year. It has been a fantastic start. It has been calm. Our students and staff have been focused. It has been very smooth, is the word that I've been hearing. And I just want to do a big shout out to all of our staff members, our administration, parent volunteers, students, and everybody that has been part of making this a smooth start. Let's keep the momentum going and let's make this a great year. Second thing I want to mention is this Wednesday will be Patriot Day, 9/11. And I want to also give a shout out to all of our first responders like Christy Bell and Deputy Schuster and all of our law enforcement and fire department, our hospital workers, all the frontline workers. And also I want to recognize all of our people that are currently serving in the armed forces and those that are veterans, and just say thank you so much for answering the call to serve. You're greatly appreciated. As a school district, we're going to be doing Red, White, and Blue Unity Day on Wednesday, and I'd invite you all to participate in that as well. But just want to say thank you from the school district for your service. Next up, would like to take a chance to talk a little bit about our LESA millage. The Board of Education in April did a resolution and resolution of support for the idea of renewing the LESA millage. And the LESA board in June approved that, and it is on the ballot for our voters to consider in November. So I'm going to go through just some of the key information, and I can answer any questions that anybody has on it throughout this presentation. First off, we talk about LESA. What is LESA? Livingston Educational Service Agencies is the umbrella agency that all of the schools in this county, all the public schools in this county are part of. We have 5 traditional public school districts that are in that agency. Obviously, we are one of those. In 2015, this county considered a motion specific to special education to increase the millage to 3.31 mils. And that was to be allocated directly to the school districts to help fund special education. And those that are around special education funding in the state of Michigan and really across the whole nation, it has been a crisis for many years, the underfunding of special education, just because of the costs that are associated with students with IEPs. And this millage has helped to offset those significant costs, for school districts. We are 10 years into this, and the county is going to be seeking a renewal. Some of the reasons that the county in 15 talked about, they wanted to help fund programs, services related expenses for over 3,500 students with special needs within this county, to fill gaps left by insufficient federal and state funding, and to help maintain the quality of education for all students. So this will be on the ballot on November 5th. So let me go forward here. This is the actual proposal that you will see. This is what it looks like here, and specifically, it is seeking a renewal of a 0.980 mil, which is something that goes directly to the school districts. And because of what's called a Headley rollback, which we'll explain here in just a moment, there is a need to also do what's called a restoration of a 0.2003 mils in order to maintain that 3.31 mils that was agreed to back in 2015. So what does this mean? So the renewal, as I mentioned, is here. The restoration, when we talk about that, the Michigan Constitution, the Headley Amendment specifically talked about that millage rates needed to be rolled back if taxable values of homes outpace the rate of inflation. And in the 10 years, we've had times that has taken place, and we have had a 0.2003 rollback over the last decade. So that's what the restoration means. Mr. Jones, did you have anything else to add as far as what restoration means?
No, that's pretty much it, is the millage is negatively impacted whenever Headley is enacted based upon the percentage increase in the taxable values as compared to the published consumer price index.
Are there any questions at all regarding the restoration portion of it?
Is this going to be two ballot initiatives or one?
Nope, this is the actual, this is what will
So
be
there's a
on the
renewal-
ballot right
there's a
here.
renewal-
They're both in here. It's renewal and restoration, they're together. But the overall millage rate was 3.31 that was agreed to in 2015. It maintains that exact same level. But this is what it's called because of the rollback.
And just as
Yeah.
a point of clarification, Dr. Outlaw, the millage rate, if this is approved, that will be applicable throughout the county. It
Correct.
doesn't vary from one
Correct.
local jurisdiction to the other.
Absolutely. Yep, thank you. What does this mean for the Brighton area schools? It represents a little over $3 million in annual revenue. And then what are the actual costs? In this, if you had a $400,000 home, and the taxable value would end up being $200,000 if it's your homestead property. So a renewal and restoration costs a person about 65 cents a day, about $237 a year. And again, this is a renewal. You're already paying this. This would be a renewal of that rate. So question is, what does Brighton spend that money on? Mr. Jones, he did an investigation on this and went through the entire pot. If you don't mind just quickly
So
talking about that.
Really quickly, in special ed, about 97% of our spend in special ed is for teachers, paras, and their salaries and benefits. So very, very little in the way of supplies and items like that is significantly just salaries and benefits.
So the qualifying expenditures in special education for our district in 2023-24 was just under $10 million. And this millage offsets about $3 million of those costs. So the district covers the remaining portion of that, just to give you some context on that. And then the question's asked, what happens if this is not renewed? If this is not renewed, obviously that funding gap is there, and we have to find ways to plug that gap in our budget. Most special education costs are guaranteed because of students' IEPs. So there would be cuts and reductions elsewhere, and that would be something that the board would have to determine where those came from. So are there any other questions on this topic?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
How are the dollars distributed from the county to the various districts? Is it based on the student population in the district or teachers or combination?
Mr. Jones, do you want to do this one? Or you want me to?
Based on total cost. So every district, every year has to submit what's called SE 4096, which lists out all the expenses that we spend on special education, and that is looked at countywide, and then our portion of the total county is what we get in revenue.
Thank you.
It's a great question. And obviously that varies year to year, but obviously the larger districts, we get a larger share than the smaller districts. So just in summary, the renewal and restoration is on the ballot for November 5th. It is a renewal. It is a renewal for 10 years. And it would retain the 3.31 mils that was agreed to in 2015, represents over $3 million in our current budget, and failure to renew. Restore means cuts, reductions elsewhere in the district. If you're seeking additional information on that, our LESA, they have on a site that's right here, additional information. You feel free to contact them. Also, feel free to contact me. Contact me with any questions that you have. Our staff can answer questions, provide information, whatever you need to make a decision, we're here to help. Any other questions that you might have? No? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, that concludes the superintendent report and moves us to the call to the public. If there's anyone here this evening that would like to address the board, this is your opportunity to do so. You will have 3 minutes to address the board with any comments. Dr. Krebs will be keeping track of time. When there is 30 seconds left in your allotted 3 minutes, she will give you a yellow card indicating that you have 30 seconds left. When your 3 minutes is up, she will display the red card indicating that your time has concluded. The process, we have cards in the rear of the room. You're welcome to fill out one of those cards and place it in the box to the left of Dr. Mosier. Then I will call the card names as they are submitted. So without further ado, we will begin. I currently only have one card. It is Jason Ringett. Thanks.
Heavenly Father, in Jesus' name, let your Holy Spirit fill this room, soften everyone's hearts. Bless the school board with wisdom, discernment. It's time to start open up our school board meetings with prayer, giving praise and glory to Jesus, and blessing our schools. President Myers, when investigations start happening, get into FBI, Sheriff's Department, local prosecutors' offices involved in holding any school board members, attorneys, union members, federal, state, and county agencies, hold them accountable for imposing healthy quarantine mask mandate recommendations back in September 21 until January 2022. Did not Dr. Fauci recently made a lot of the COVID protocols up, which violates children's U.S. constitutional rights, violated kids' rights of having a 100-day public education, and many other laws were violated? Will you release all emails, communication between the Livingston County Health Department, school officials, school attorneys, school union, school board members who wanted the mask mandate showing full transparency? When will investigations start being held, holding the 4 school board members accountable who voted to let the teachers union remain in the high school, taking up educational space? It just shows that these 4 school board members care more about the special interest groups than our children's education, and they should resign. They also love having kangaroo courts going after the other 3 school board members who are always fighting for our kids' education, teachers, and transparency. Investigations need to begin on any staff pushing explicit sexual books, posting LGBTQ signs, safe space signs, giving out gender pronoun survey signs, pushing drag queen story hour, or any other sexual perversion tactics is brainwashing. It's child abuse, and people need to be fired for the nonsense. The fake Joe Biden admitted he never won the 2020 presidency. His Title IX changes he wanted are not law. It takes Congress, the Senate, and the truly elected president to make laws to impose executive orders. President Myers, just curious if any federal, state, or government agencies or school board members who push or letting biological males use the female bathrooms, will you take the lead to have the FBI, Sheriff's Office, Prosecutor's Office go after these sick, twisted individuals who think it's okay for biological males to use the female bathrooms? You all need to hold the line, protecting women's rights and their safety of the original Title IX laws passed in 1972. Trump is returning soon, putting an end to all the silliness. It's no longer about Democrat versus Republicans, a battle between good and evil. We all need to choose the right side, be on the right side. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken by God. God has anointed President Trump and Robert Kennedy. A new political party will rise with these 2 men, and the other 2 parties will fall. Trump is getting rid of the Board of Education, and education is returning to all the states. All the woke agendas like DEI will be getting eliminated. SEL is nothing more than a Trojan horse riddled with sexualization, grooming tactics being implemented into our educational books, going after our children. It needs to be eliminated out of our schools. You want to turn around our schools, be bold, put God and prayer back into our schools. 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, and then I will hear from heaven. It will forgive their sin. It will heal their land. America's answer is prayer. Turning back to God, open up our school days, sporting events with prayer, putting the Bible back into our classrooms with the 10 Commandments, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, hanging out through our schools. Remember, God wins. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you. Okay, there are, last call, if there's anyone that would like.
Put a card in the back, maybe. Were you seeking to?
Go ahead and, you can go ahead and go to the podium, that's fine. You can fill out the card afterwards. Just provide us your name and school district.
My name's Glenn Hodges, and
Welcome, Mr. Hodges.
I'm actually running for the Brighton School Board, this November 5th. And so I just wanted to bring up two things, really. One, I became aware today that Bill Trombley has resigned. If that is in fact correct, I would like to know what the process is for being able to fill in his spot. I'd like to offer myself up as a potential candidate to do that in the interim between, I believe there's a 30-day period during which, that seat has to be filled. And of course, then there's a very short time before the election. So obviously we're not talking a long period of time, but I would like to offer my services if there's a process to bring that about. And of course, I would expect other candidates to be considered as well. I'd just like to take a moment to speak to my qualifications for this. I am a professor at Michigan State University. I've taught over 5,000 students in my career as an academic over the last 15 years, 11 years at Michigan State. I'm the director of the Masters of Science in Management, Strategy, and Leadership program, which is ranked 4th by U.S. News and World Report in its category. So I've got a deep understanding of pedagogy. I'm an administrator. I've run a very successful program for a considerable period of time. And I also have, in addition to my educational background, my area of focus is strategy and strategic decision-making. And that is what I teach. That is the nature of the program I run, which focuses on strategy as well as leadership and management. I also worked for about 12 years for Chrysler and Daimler Chrysler. I was the number 2 person in the strategy department, and I've led a lot of different strategic processes. So my thought is that I could meaningfully contribute to the nature of the discussions and analysis that this board takes on, based in part off of my background in education and pedagogy and actual teaching experience and as an administrator, but also from the standpoint that I have a very practical background in the business world, and my area of expertise is on strategy and strategic decision-making. Most people aren't familiar with the concept of strategic decision-making per se. That's where you're looking at cognitive limitations, individual and group biases, and then coming up with ways to mitigate those issues to facilitate better, higher quality discussions, higher quality analysis, focusing on root cause, trying to mitigate contention among various stakeholders, whether that's on the board or between the board and the broader community. And so for those reasons, I think I would be, I'd like to think I'm highly qualified for that role. And I think that's all I have to say on the matter.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Anyone else? All right. That will close our call to the public and will move us into for action. Item A, regular meeting minutes of August 26, 2024. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Reed, supported by Dr. Krebs. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any nays? That passes 5-0. That moves us to item B, Human Resources Report. Mr. Anastasoff.
All right, thank you. All right, so you should have just received a few minutes ago an updated report, actually as of today. The top just represents retirement resignations that we've had over this past time period. But we also added today Catherine Reichholden, who is recommended to fill the ELA position at Brighton High School. She's currently a EA at Horning. And so she was recommended to transition into the teaching position.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the Human Resources Report as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Reed, supported by Dr. Krebs. Any discussion?
I have a couple of questions, Mr. Anastasov.
Yes.
For the retirement and then the 2 resignations, are those positions, have they already been filled?
They have, yes. The position Director of Instructional Services was filled, voted on in the last HR report. Same with the bridge, was on the last one as well. And same as the Scranton Middle School position. Yep, they were all in the previous one.
Just making sure. Thank
Yep.
you.
Any further discussion? All right. I just would like to say thank you to those who are retiring and or leaving for personal reasons. I'd like to give a special shout out to Ms. Hubert. She's been an instrumental part of this district for a long time and has contributed extensively her talents and passion to the education of our children, and we wish her the best, and just wanted to give her a special recognition. All right. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 5-0. Okay, that moves us to item C, the board member resignation and appointment that was added to the agenda. For those of you who have not heard, Mr. Trombley tendered his resignation this morning from the board, which is effective immediately. First of all, I would just like to say, he's not here obviously, but I would just like to say thank you to Mr. Trombley. He's been a board member for 12 years. He's devoted an extensive amount of time and energy and passion to the betterment of the education of our children in our district and the safety of everyone in our district. And he's done a lot of great things over the years, and I just want to recognize him for his service and wish him all the best in his future endeavors. So when legally under Michigan law, when there is a school board member who resigns, the board is required to appoint a successor within 30 days of the date of resignation. And it doesn't matter if there's 2 years left on the resigning member's term, or 1 year, or 45 days. And obviously in this case, Mr. Trombley's term is set to expire on December 31. So we're talking about a 3-month period, actually about a 4-month period. But it constitutes 3 board meetings that we have scheduled between now and the end of the year. While there is a statutory requirement that the position be appointed within 30 days, the process by which the board is to undertake that appointment is very open. There's tremendous amount of discretion that's granted to school boards as to how they go about appointing a person to fill that vacant seat. That process can be something as simple as the board announcing and appointing someone, to setting a deadline for the receipt of applications, to receiving applications and then conducting interviews. So there's a wide range of processes that could be undertaken by any board. And like I said, there isn't any specific requirement. And so in light of the fact that Mr. Trombley's resignation occurred this morning, and in light of the fact that this is the only board meeting that we have scheduled within the next 30 days, we've added this to the agenda so that we could discuss this as a board collectively, which we have to then decide as a board how we are going to go about appointing Mr. Trombley's successor. Before we begin that process, I spoke to, as everyone has seen, Mr. Storm is currently not here. He I talked to him earlier today, and he had another engagement that came up at the last minute that started a little earlier this evening. He's going to be here, but he said that he would be a little late. I would prefer to take a short break, and I'll try to find out how soon I think it's important that he be allowed to participate in this conversation and in this decision. And so I'd like to afford him that opportunity. He wasn't sure, given the commitment that he had, the specific time. So I was just going to maybe give him a call while we took a 5-minute break and see where he is in that. So is everyone okay with doing that? Everybody okay? Okay. All right. So we're going to stand adjourned for 5 or 10 minutes here, and I'm going to try to contact Mr. Storm and get an update as to the timing of his arrival. So, okay.
Just a reminder that the camera's still on. And they can hear everything. Everything you talk about, so.
Thank you. They edited it out, yeah, because, in the beginning, they had the minutes, and they edited it. You'll be fine. You'll be Who wants to play? Yes. Yep. And my cousin Allie has one of those. She's already dropped the first back and she's you traits that I have, like, there's so I got. Is he there for? So he's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jennifer Flynn, nice to meet you as well. I already know you. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Thanks.
Great one.
Yeah, we're already showing meetings there. Okay, and then try again.
All right, we're back in session. Mr. Storm has not yet arrived, and so what we're going to do is we're going to just administratively take things a little out of order. We're going to come back to the item C for action, and we're going to go to the for future action portion of our agenda. Item A, policy Troon summer package. Mr. Anastasov, do you want to launch that, or?
All right, just to give a quick update on it, this will probably be a topic over the next couple months. It's a pretty substantial summer package update. There's over 150 policy updates. I'll get into just a little bit of detail about the the grouping that spanned anywhere from minor clerical changes all the way up to new or expanded policies. So the reason for this is Truman explained every 4 or 5 years, they review all of their policies and make changes to it. It's only been less than 2 years, I know, for Brighton, but it falls within the 4 or 5 years for Troom. So that's why we're seeing these massive amount. I was told that this is not a common thing every summer, but could be common every 4 to 5 years. But as far as the groups, we met as a policy committee and we discussed taking a look at some of these groups. I would say maybe not well over, but at least 50% of them fall under the categories of very minor changes, anywhere from single word changes due to definitions, minor technical or language clarifications, updating legal citations, removing the temporary R that we actually, when we updated policies last time that were temporary, that was meant to go away after July anyways, and then revise for readability, formatting issues, things like that. So I'm working on grouping those all together to take a look at them and then see if those are ones where we want to move more quickly due to the that there's not content changes themselves. And then we get into the other ones that we'll start looking at organizing them by priority, need, those type of items as we move through there. Because we do realize to be, to make it manageable for the board, we do want to kind of group them as much as possible. So we have the ability to truly take a look at some of these without rushing through any of these changes as well. Because the other category does include some optional ones too. So we do need to look at, are those ones we want in our policies or not. So the next time we do meet is this Friday, actually, to talk about some of those items. But want to give you at least a quick update of what may be coming for the next couple months, few months.
Any questions, comments?
I just wanted to add thank you to Mr. Anastasia for all of the work that he's putting into reviewing the policies to make sure that the board is going to have enough information to make decisions on this. I think you're still going through comparing the technical change sections against what we have in place here in Brighton already to make sure that adopting technical changes doesn't accidentally and unintentionally erase more substantive changes that Brighton has adopted in the past. But I'm hoping that after this week's meeting, we can come to the board with a more detailed description of some of the groupings that we might use to facilitate and streamline the approval process here at the board, so you can see what types of things are technical changes and how many of those are out there, and then we can talk about how we'd like to approach some of the more substantive work that Turing has put in front of us. So thank you, Mr. Anastasia.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything further? All right, thank you. That moves us to item B, Snow Guard Indoor Practice Facility. Mr. Jones,
Right.
welcome back.
Thank you. So last year it was observed during the winter that some snow that had accumulated on the roof of the indoor practice facility actually fell off the roof directly on the sidewalk along the side of the building. So we have gone out and gotten 3 quotes to put snow guards, have them installed on the roof to help stop snow from falling off the roof onto the sidewalk, which we see as a safety problem. So,
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yeah, sure.
First, I'm just curious, because I wasn't here when this facility was built. It's not very old. So did this come up during discussion when the indoor practice facility was built? Does anyone know if this was broached by yes, no? I'm just curious. Okay.
I don't think they came
Yeah,
up.
I asked and nobody could recall this being a part of the discussion or drawings of the original build.
Okay. So it wasn't recommended at the time
Correct.
during the original build.
Correct.
And then the second question, I don't know if you know this or if it's Mr. Jacobs, but they're pretty different
Yes.
quotes.
Yeah,
So substantially different. So I'm just curious, is there a warranty difference? Is it a different approach between these 3?
Actually, we reached out, I know exactly what you're talking about. We reached out to that one vendor and they admitted to us today that they made a mistake. So they asked if they could rebid. So we have told them, yes, take, since it's not going to be up for an actual approval until next month, we will allow them to redo their bid and submit it to us.
Thank you.
Well,
Why do we do that? This is an authorized quote and
We don't have to accept it.
oh, I know, it's
Right.
only 100,000 less, give or take. So, all right,
you're talking about the most expensive quote?
Yes, the
is-
C, yes.
lower cost one and have them stick to the bid, but they said they made a mistake on it, eh?
Well, no, John,
The high
the
one.
largest one made the mistake, so they would be
Oh,
resubmitting.
the largest one.
Oh, yeah, no, the large one.
But
Why they were so different.
So the large one made a mistake.
Yes.
Oh, I'm getting it. I just say you gotta take the lower one anyway.
Well, the concern is at this point, I mean, the packet is public information.
Exactly.
So they would have the benefit of.
Right,
further
we will
advantage.
take it, we will obviously take that into consideration when we get their bids.
Why don't we just take the low bid now and get it done? Just a suggestion.
I mean, if you're, I mean, and so the recommendation, I mean, Mr. Jacobs isn't here, but from his perspective, he's satisfied as well that it would be the recommendation be to accept the lowest bid in the packet?
So we are fine with that for two reasons. One of them is the product that everybody bid on is the same. There's no difference in product, there's no difference in warranty. And the lowest bid is the same vendor who put the roof on the building in the first place. So having that same vendor work on the roof, to me, is a better choice anyway. So,
And the guarantee and stuff when they work on it. So I would just pass along to the board. We should consider the low bid. It's a process. They went through the process and they missed.
So,
I agree.
so you're referring to the Wolverine steel
correct.
and so the total for that proposal would be that there's three line items, there's a breakdown of three.
Right, so the first one is the 1,600 linear feet, which is the roof of the main building. There's also the small roof over the entrance.
Yep.
So the extra prices are to add additional product, if we want to do more than just the 1,600 feet. So the other two vendors bid just the 1,600 feet of the top roof itself. Those are additional, so that's something that's optional to us.
Is there a recommendation from the administration on those optional pieces?
I mean, based upon the price, I think we are perfectly fine with going with all three, taking the full package. It's still less than everybody else's bid, and we get a little bit more.
I would be in support of accepting all three of the alternatives, or all three of the aspects of the lowest bid from Wolverine Steel. So we want to have a motion to
Oh,
approve?
what kind of timeline? Can I just ask
Sure.
for a timeline? When will this be done? Will it be done before this winter or?
Absolutely. In fact, I checked on that because, since it was for future action and thinking we're not going to get approval until October, the vendor still was confident they had plenty of time to get it in by winter.
I like Mr. Conley's idea of just moving forward, so I would move that we move this for action tonight.
Support.
All right, motion by Ms. Reed, supported by Mr. Conley. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any nays? That passes 5-0. All right, that moves us to the stadium cameras portion of the for future action.
So based upon the recommendation of our security personnel here in the district, it was asked that they look at the security around the football stadium. And they identified some areas of the football stadium that are not being covered by the current camera system that we have there. So we are in the process right now of going out and getting quotes to get the cameras and the installation of those cameras in the football field, so we'll have full coverage of the area. So again, we're in the process of doing it, but I just wanted to add that process will include that because these are electronic systems that we will go through the REMC bidding process to do that.
Do you have any sense right now of what the cost is going to be for those additional cameras?
I mean, The only reason I'm walking is it okay to say in public since we're still waiting to get bids? We've got one bid,
I'm looking for a range, like if we have a bid out,
we have one received,
okay,
and that is it.
never mind, I'll sit.
It's going to be above the limit where we have to come to the board. How's
Oh,
that?
there you go. Good answer.
That'll work.
So, recently we just added a lot of other cameras in other places for security. How will this be tied into the other cameras, the other security systems? Are we going to need additional mainframe support or?
No, the goal here is to get a system that will be easily integrated into our current system. Absolutely.
Yeah, so the cameras, every time our officers are looking, they're always looking for gaps. And this was an area where they found a few gaps. There's some other spots where there are gaps that have been filled, but they're underneath that threshold. Everything's integrated within the system. Our infrastructure is set up to be able to add these additional cameras. Sure.
Any further questions and is the expectation that we will have the bids back before the next meeting and we'll be coming forward with a recommendation?
Yes. Let me also add too that we have carryover dollars in our 31AA grant, which means we can cover this with security funds instead of general funds.
How much, just out of curiosity, how much do we have left in the 31AA funds?
If I am remembering correctly, we carried over just over $1 million.
Okay.
But remember, it was a $2.2 million grant, so it was a big grant.
Yeah, and when is the deadline by which those grant dollars must be spent?
I am not sure of one because that's the type of grant that the state pays out annually. And usually it's a pretty lenient timeframe to get those money.
And just to clarify that a lot of that money is spoken for. I believe that we're paying for our officers and quite a bit of our security for this year out of that carryover money. So just to clarify that it's not unspent.
Sure.
Right, and just to do the quick math, we got $2.2 million last year. We carried over about $1 million, so we'll probably run out before the end of the year.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. That concludes the for future action portion of our agenda. Why don't we can go ahead and do the board committee chair reports, community recognition. If there's any.
Your policy committee report, you've already gotten basically, so I can't take up much more time for you. And for Mr. Storm, we are meeting on Friday morning to go through to do more work on the Turin package and figure out how we'd like to propose putting it up here for you guys to review red lines and vote.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Krebs?
The academic committee is meeting this Wednesday, so can't say much more than that.
Mr. Conley? Make sure you get your, yeah.
We don't have a finance committee, so we're not meeting this year.
Right. Well, we have a committee of the whole for the finance issues.
I understand. We don't have a finance committee outside of the committee of the whole, so we're not meeting this year.
Do we have, I apologize, I don't think I have responded. Have we gotten a date together for the bond and facilities committee meeting?
That was my next question.
I think we're flexible, shared a few dates, whatever
Okay.
works within your schedules, just let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I think our preference would be sometime next week, if possible.
Okay.
So.
Great.
Do you have availability next week? We can figure it out.
Yeah, probably not until Friday.
Okay.
That's all right.
Mr. Conley?
We have some free moment regarding Mr. Trombley. I'm looking back at some notes from 2018 and the $10 million STEM center and the Maltby STEM renovation in Scranton and the $1 million CT center at the bridge, which we don't have, but we did approve it. And some other things from seeing our health occupations lab. It's all in here. And I want to thank Bill Trombley for his assistance in seeing these programs get to completion. Because without Bill, I don't think the majority of them could have happened or even would have been on the scope to have been considered, actually. These were ideas that I brought forward, but Bill got behind them. And I can share with you that in the classroom environment, Bill was exceptional when it came to studying and learning what needed to be done to build something really good. And he, I don't know, I was surprised all the time at how well he performed in those areas. And in that, I'll put this in the record for Star. She can put it in the board notes so it goes on if anybody wants to see it. I have a little bit of an issue with how we treated Bill. Actually, I have a big issue. We've allowed a no-charge union office to continue at the school. We've allowed several other little things that are financial and related to finance. And I think it ties back into some of this. And Bill had served us very well for, over a decade. In fact, I think he was the bond chair on near $150 million in bond dollars. And he pretty much handled those dollars for the school system. And I think he did a really good job. But looking at financial gain and looking at the policies and looking at policies that were slightly modified to, I believe, handle the situation. I think Bill kind of was on his way. He's retiring. I don't think it was fair how Bill was handled on this. And I understand that the board took a vote, and that's how it works. I understand that. So I'll stand behind the board vote and understand that that was the policy that was enacted. But I still don't think it was fair. And I was reading the note to Bill from Roger regarding the situation, and Roger just spelled it out. But, he offered him a closed session, which is fair. Board members can get that opportunity if they want to do it. But technically, Bill asked for a meeting with the superintendent, and I don't think they could get together on it within a reasonable amount of time. And I think that, I think it was a little short. I do. For a man that put in so much time. And you guys all are aware of Bill's conditions and his physical limitations. And different times he's been barely able to do what he has to do to help us with an unpaid job, let alone his life. So he has gone out of his way to take care of the students at Brighton area school. So I'd like to think that we could get together and kind of, and I did hear that come up. Roger did bring it up. Bill had a big contribution to our school, but it's bigger than you know. And I can share with you that there was a time we had, I think it was rainwater running down into one of the showcases in the hallway. And Bill and I were in the school, and Dr. Gray and I were there, and we were all talking about how we're going to get this fixed and how we're going to address things. And then, so Bill and I were going to get a ladder and we were going to go fix it. Well, all of a sudden things got fixed. And it was just the way that things had to be done. And we needed a drain put in for our TIPS classroom. And Bill went in, it was November, and I think by December we had the drain put in so we could put in sinks. The guy was unbelievable that way. You can go in there and figure it out, and next thing you know, the students are having what they need to get the work done. And without Bill Trombley, none of that would have been done. I couldn't do it myself, and he made a huge impact. So to basically send him down the road the way we did, I don't believe is right. And I'll leave it at that. And there's plenty of other ways we could have handled this. And maybe at the end of the day, the ways that Bill could have done it too. Thank you.
All right. The only thing we have left is still going back to the item C, the appointment And I still have not heard back from Mr. Storm. So I'm not sure his status is. So what is your preference? Do you want to wait a little longer? Do you want to proceed forward?
I'd like to recommend that we try one more time to contact Mr. Storm and see what his ETA is. So maybe a 5-minute recess, but if we can't get a hold of him then, I think that we should move forward with it. So because we need to have this resolved before our
Yep.
next meeting.
Okay. All right. So we're going to appreciate your patience, everyone. We're going to take another 5-minute recess, and I will try to get a hold of Mr. Storm again.
I just wasn't sure, you know, sometimes it's hard. I don't very much to anticipate that before, so, because it's open student. Yeah. I'll see if there's.
Okay, we are going to reconvene. Unfortunately, I was still not able to get a hold of Mr. Storm. So I think we are going to proceed forward. As I indicated, the process by which the board has to go about appointing a successor is really open to wide discretion that the board has. Anybody have any thoughts? So how you'd like to see this going forward? Mr. Conley?
Silly Mike. I'll get it straight. We've got a couple meetings left. MCL section 168.311 talks about 30 days, makes it seem like the seat can go unfilled after the filing date, general election, because that's already done. Something to do with so close to the filing date, because all the apps are in, but I don't have a problem appointing somebody. So, I mean, it's something that either way, I mean, it's not, we're doing what we're supposed to do, so it's not like we're doing something we're not supposed to do.
I think, we checked with Troon, and the concern was that if we as a board don't make an appointment within 30 days, LESA will appoint somebody for us.
Rather not do that, so.
Yeah.
And we also confirmed that with Brad Banasek, the legal counsel for MASB. So we circled the wagons on legal feedback, and the consensus was that we need to act.
Good.
Yeah, within 30
We
days.
certainly can do that.
And I would like to make a suggestion that we move forward tonight to appoint Andy Birchfield to fill Bill's seat for the remainder of the year, for the remainder of that term. You guys are familiar with Andy's prior service on the board. He's familiar with how the board operates and could step into providing counsel and representing the folks here in the district well, I think. And it also would be an appointment that would not suggest that the board is actually picking someone that is already on the ballot when our voters are going to pick someone in a couple of weeks.
I'd support that. So I'll second that.
Okay, so is yours a motion to
Yes,
appoint Mr. Birchfield
yes.
and seconded by Mr. Conley? Okay, any discussion?
I just say I'm in agreement. I think that if the circumstances were different, it was a longer period of time that we needed to fill, but we're really talking about 3 meetings. And to appoint someone that is unfamiliar with how the board works, I think would be challenging for that person as well, because it takes a little while to get up to speed. So to me, this seems like a very logical, fair decision, if he's willing.
He just gave you the nod.
I would also support this for the same reasons that everybody's been saying. I think that as to not show anything with the candidates who are already on the ballots, I think we need to be careful with that as a board. And I think Mr. Birchfield certainly has the experience of being on the board in the past, that he would represent the district well.
And I echo what has been said. I would like to acknowledge a couple of the candidates who are running reached out and expressed interest in submitting for consideration for the appointment, including obviously Mr. Hodges here this evening. I just want to thank you, all of you, some of whom are here this evening, for being willing to step up and step into that role in the midst of the election process, and certainly appreciate your interest in doing so. But I do think it is, for all the reasons that have been said, I'm in support of hiring or appointing, I should say, Mr. Birchfield to.
Volunteering in Roger.
Yeah,
Volunteering him.
hiring a pro bono.
Yeah.
But, and anyway, so, all right. So we have a motion seconded. Any further discussion?
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Ms. Ackmite.
Mr. Conley?
Yes.
Mrs. Marks?
Yes.
Dr. Krebs?
Yes.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes, that passes 5-0. Ms. Birchfield, thank you for willingness to step up. All right, That concludes all of the items on our agenda this evening. Our next meeting is Monday, October 14th at 7 PM, and this meeting is adjourned.
Are you gonna be at the business center in Chicago?